Have you ever had this thought, even for just a moment? If I quietly disappeared from my own life for a week, would anyone really notice what's going on inside me? Not the emails I wouldn't answer, not the chores I wouldn't finish, but the ache, the questions, the heaviness I carry so well that most people assume I'm fine. Have you ever sat at a dinner table or in a church service or at your desk at work, surrounded by people, and still felt that if you told the truth about how tired, disappointed, or hurt you really are, no one would quite know what to do with you? Have you ever trusted someone with the most fragile parts of your heart, believing your words were safe with them, only to find out later that your story had quietly become a topic of conversation in rooms you were never invited into? If any of that touches something in you, your pain is not imaginary, and you are not alone. In this time we have together, I want to walk with you into that place of hurt, and gently, honestly, into the presence of a God who has heard this kind of pain before. Not with quick fixes, not with clichés, but with the kind of honesty He Himself has already written into Scripture. I want to tell you about someone who could easily be your neighbor, your coworker, your sister, or you. Her name is Laura. She is 47 years old. On weekday mornings, you would find her behind the front desk of a busy public school, working as an administrative assistant. She is the one whose phone never stops ringing, who knows which classroom each child belongs in, who can find the missing permission slip, who keeps track of substitute teachers and late buses. She does not have a fancy title. She is not the person whose name is on the school website. But if she did not show up tomorrow, the building would feel it. From the outside, her life looks steady. She has been married for more than 20 years. She has 2 children, one in college and one in high school. She lives in a modest house on a quiet street, with a front yard that always needs mowing and a dishwasher that always seems to be running. On Sundays, she goes to church. She helps with the women's ministry. She remembers people's birthdays, writes little notes of encouragement, and brings casseroles when someone is sick. When people see her in the grocery store, the conversation sounds familiar. "Laura, hey, how are you?" She smiles because she is good at smiling. "Oh, busy, but good." And in many ways, that is true. She is busy, and there are good things. But underneath the surface answer is another layer she rarely lets anyone see. In that hidden layer, she feels more like a supporting character in everyone else's story than the main character in her own. She is the one others lean on, but she is not entirely sure who she can lean on. She carries schedules, emotions, and expectations the way other people carry handbags or backpacks, except no one really sees the weight of it. On some nights, when the house is quiet and the only sound is the hum of the refrigerator, she lies awake and wonders, if I stopped holding everything together, would anyone notice that I was the one holding it? Or would it just all fall apart and people would say, "What happened?" without ever seeing that something was happening in me long before? For years, there was one person who felt like a safe place to put some of that weight down. Her younger sister, Emily. They live in different towns now, with different routines and different social circles. But Sunday nights became something sacred between them. After dinner was cleaned up and her husband and son had drifted into their own corners of the house, Laura would make herself a cup of tea, wrap a blanket around her shoulders, and sit at the end of the couch with her phone. She would call Emily. They talked about their kids, their aging parents, their jobs, their bodies that did not bounce back the way they used to. They laughed about childhood memories, about the creak in the stairs of the old house they grew up in, about their mother's quirks, about the strange comfort of shared history. Those calls felt like a small, warm room where Laura could step out of her role as the reliable one and just be a sister again. Little by little, without planning it, she began to open up more deeply. It did not all spill out at once. It came in careful, hesitant sentences. One evening, she mentioned that she felt worn down in her marriage in a way she could not quite name. Another night, she admitted that she sometimes felt invisible in her own home, present and yet unseen. She described how conversations with her husband had narrowed into practical exchanges about bills, appointments, and who was picking up who, while the deeper, softer parts of life seemed to have gone quiet. She confessed that certain comments, tossed out in irritation or tiredness, and then quickly forgotten by him, clung to her for days. She shared that sometimes, when she saw other couples at church praying together or laughing in the lobby, a quiet ache rose in her chest that she immediately pushed back down. "Maybe this is just what 20 years of marriage looks like," she said once, her voice barely above a whisper. "Or maybe something is cracked, and I am the only one who can feel it." Emily listened. She made space. She made sounds of understanding at the right moments. She asked gentle questions, and she said the words that made it feel possible for Laura to keep sharing. "I am so glad you are telling me this. You never have to pretend with me, okay? You can tell me anything. I am not going anywhere. I will not repeat this to anyone. I promise." Those last words, "I promise," settled into Laura like a soft pillow for her heart. She believed them. She needed to. A few weeks after one of their more vulnerable conversations, on an ordinary Wednesday afternoon, Laura sat at her school desk, answering emails between phone calls. Attendance reports were open on one side of the screen. A list of unread messages stared back at her from the other. Children's voices drifted faintly down the hallway. Her phone buzzed. A text appeared from one of the women's ministry leaders at her church. "Hi, Laura. Hope your week is going okay. When you have a free moment, could we find a time to talk? There are a few things we would love to connect and pray with you about. No pressure at all." Her stomach fluttered, just for a second. She tried to brush it off. Maybe they were planning the next Bible study. Maybe they wanted her input on something. Maybe someone had suggested a new idea for the group. That evening, after dinner and dishes, she settled on the couch with her laptop, opened her email, and saw a new message from that same leader. The subject line read, "Checking in and next steps." Her throat felt suddenly tight, but she clicked. "Dear Laura, we want to begin by saying how grateful we are for you. You have been such a blessing to the women of our church, and your faithful service has meant so much to us. Recently, however, some concerns have been brought to our attention regarding things you have shared about struggles in your marriage and home life. A few women have expressed feeling unsure of how to respond and how best to support you in this season. Out of love and care for you and for the women you lead, we feel it may be wise for you to take a step back from leading the Wednesday evening group for a time, just until things are more settled. We would love to meet with you soon to hear your heart more fully to pray with you, and to walk alongside you in this. You are very loved. With grace, name. She read it once. Her eyes moved faster than her mind could understand. She read it again. This time the phrases separated themselves and grew heavier. Some concerns have been brought to our attention. Things you have shared about struggles in your marriage. A few women have expressed. She felt something inside her go, very still, and then very cold. She almost never talked about her marriage in that group. She was careful. She made sure the focus stayed on the text they were reading, on the women in the circle, on their stories. So where had these things she had shared come from? Her thoughts walked backward. The Sunday night phone calls. Her own voice, trembling slightly as she said, "I have not told anyone else this." Emily's reassurances. "You can always tell me. I have your back." The offhand comment from Emily a little while ago. "I had coffee with a couple of the women from your church. They really respect you, you know? They care about you." And then, "Do not worry. I would never tell them the details. I promise." Now reading the email, she felt like someone had quietly rearranged her memories. She did not have proof. No recording, no confession. But in the center of her chest, a heavy, clear knowing formed. The words she had entrusted to her sister had not stayed where she left them. Her private confessions had somehow become public concerns. Her vulnerability had turned into a second-hand story. Her name had been carried into a meeting she did not even know existed. She could almost picture it, a casual coffee that slipped into a serious conversation, a concerned tone. Phrases like, "I do not want to gossip, but I think you should know," wrapped around pieces of Laura's pain. Her face grew hot, even though she was alone in the room. Her chest ached with that strange mixture of shame and anger. Ashamed of being seen as a concern. Angry that she had been discussed instead of approached. From the kitchen came her husband's voice, flat and familiar over the clink of dishes. "Everything okay?" She cleared her throat, wiped quickly at her eyes with the back of her hand, and forced her answer into something that sounded normal. "Yeah, just some church stuff. It is fine." But it was not fine. It was not just about being asked to step back from leading a Bible study. It was not just about ministry roles or miscommunication. It was the realization that her heart had been carried into conversations beyond her reach. That people she smiled at on Sundays might now be looking at her through the fog of someone else's version of her story. It was the painful awareness that the safest place she had finally found to tell the truth had, in some way, become the doorway through which that truth left the room. And beneath all of that, in a deeper place she did not want to admit even to herself, another question began to rise. "God, did you see when my words left my sister's mouth and landed in someone else's ears? Did you notice when my name was placed on a table without me there? Did you care, or am I the only one who feels the weight of this? Maybe your details are different. Maybe it was not a sister. Maybe it was not a church. Maybe it was not about marriage at all. Maybe it was a friend from work you finally opened up to. Maybe it was a parent you chose to trust after years of silence. Maybe it was a mentor, a pastor, a small group, a partner. But you know that moment when you realize your private words have traveled farther than you ever intended. You know the way your stomach drops. You know the way you suddenly start questioning everything. Was I foolish to trust? Did I misread them? Should I have kept my mouth shut? Can I ever risk being this honest again? Long before Laura, long before emails and group messages and ministry meetings, someone else walked through this same kind of wound. They did not sit in a school office or read church emails on a laptop, but they knew what it felt like to be hurt, not by a distant enemy, but by someone who used to walk beside them. They poured their pain into words that have survived for thousands of years. We know those words today as Psalm 55. In that psalm, there is a moment where the writer says, in simple, honest language, that if this attack had come from an enemy, it would have been easier to bear. He could have prepared himself. He could have kept his distance. He could have hidden. But it did not come from an enemy. It came from a companion, from a close friend, from someone who had walked with him to the house of God, someone who had shared moments of worship, conversation, and closeness. It is as if he is saying, I could handle it if a stranger turned against me. I could handle it if someone I already knew disliked me tried to hurt me. But you, the one I trusted, the one I sat beside, the one who knew my heart, that is a different kind of pain. The deepest cuts rarely come from enemies. They come from the hands that once held our secrets. Maybe that sounds familiar to you. Maybe you could have handled it better if a distant acquaintance had misunderstood you. If a person who never liked you had spoken against you. If someone far from your life had judged you without knowing the full story. But it was not a stranger. It was not an obvious enemy. It was the sister who said, I will never repeat this. It was the friend who promised, you can tell me anything. It was the partner who said, you are safe with me. It was the leader who prayed with you and then spoke about you. That is where the shock lives, not only in what they did, but in who they were to you. The writer of Psalm 55 does not pretend that this kind of wound is small. He does not rush to say, it is fine, I forgive, it does not hurt. He lets the pain be what it is. He lets his heart speak honestly before God. And that, in itself, is a kind of gift to us. Because it means your reaction is not a sign that you are weak or overly sensitive. It means you are human. When trust is broken from the inside, when the safe place becomes the place of exposure, something deep in us cries out, this should not have happened, not from you. If any part of this sounds like your own story, you do not have to push that feeling away. You can simply let your heart nod quietly and stay with me. You are not the only one. That is exactly where Laura found herself. Sitting on her couch, reading that email, realizing that parts of her story had traveled without her consent. She was not only hurt by what had happened, she was shaken by who it had come through. Her sister, the one who said, I promise. Her church, the place that spoke often about grace and safety and community. The betrayal was not loud. There were no shouted accusations, no dramatic confrontations. It was quiet, polite, wrapped in concern and care. And sometimes, those are the hardest wounds to name because they come dressed in soft words. Psalm 55 tells us something important. God is not confused about this kind of pain. He is not surprised by it. He saw it thousands of years ago. He sees it now. He does not say, that is not a big deal, just get over it. He does not say, you are overreacting. He lets the psalmist speak honestly. He preserves those words for us. He is willing to meet us in that same place of honest hurt. Maybe part of you feels guilty for even calling it betrayal. You think, they did not mean to hurt me. You tell yourself, they were just trying to help. You think, there are worse stories than mine. And all of that might be true. Their intentions may have been mixed. Their motives may have included genuine concern. But your heart knows what it felt like to discover that your story had moved without you. Your heart knows the sting of being talked about instead of talked to. God is not asking you to pretend that does not hurt. He is not waiting for you to come to Him with a cleaned-up version of your story. He is willing to hear the real one. In the same psalm, there is another line that quietly opens a door. Cast your cares on the Lord, and He will sustain you. Psalm 55, verse 22. Cast your cares, not ignore them, not deny them, not minimize them. Bring them, place them, drop them if you must, into His hands. The psalm does not say, cast your neat, well-explained thoughts on the Lord. It says, cast your cares. That includes your confusion, your anger, your disappointment in people, your questions about where God was when the conversation about you was happening. It includes the moment when you, like Laura, sit in a quiet room and whisper, God, did you see? Did you hear? Did it matter to you, or was I alone in that moment? The witness of Psalm 55 is that you are not alone in feeling that way. Someone else felt it. Someone else said it. God heard it. And instead of erasing those words, He kept them. So that when you feel that very same ache, you have language for it. You have a map that says, this is not just my isolated experience. This is part of the human story. And God has been listening to this kind of prayer for a very long time. Laura did not stop going to church right away. On the first Sunday after the email, she stood in front of the mirror, brushed her hair, put on the same kind of outfit she always wore, and told herself, you can do this. Just smile. Just get through it. She walked into the building she knew so well. Down the hallway she had walked 100 times before. The same posters on the walls, the same smell of coffee in the foyer, the same familiar song starting to play in the sanctuary. But something had shifted. It felt almost like walking back into a house where a window had been broken. The walls were still there. The furniture was in its place. But there was a draft now, a chill, a sense that what used to keep her warm had been opened up. She saw the women from her group. They smiled at her, and she smiled back. Some of them hugged her. Some said, "We miss your teaching already," in voices that sounded kind, but carried a weight she could not quite name. No one said, "We heard something about you." No one said, "We talked about you in a meeting." But she heard it anyway, pressing against her ribs like a quiet pressure. During the worship, as people sang words about trust and surrender and God's faithfulness, she stood with her hands at her sides, her lips moving only a little. The lyrics on the screen talked about God never letting go. Her heart whispered, "But you let that happen." Back at home, on quiet nights, she found prayer becoming more complicated. Before, it had been natural to talk to God about other people's pain. God, be with her. Comfort him. Help their marriage. Now, when she turned that same attention toward her own life, something inside her tightened. God, where were you when my sister was sharing my story? Where were you when my name was in that meeting? You say you are my refuge, But why did I feel exposed? She did not say those words out loud at first. They came in sighs, in half-formed thoughts, in the way she avoided sitting still long enough to feel. One night, when the house was finally quiet, she sat in the living room with the Bible open in her lap, turned to Psalm 55. She had read it earlier that week, almost by accident, and the words about the close friend had stayed with her. Now, she ran her finger slowly under a different line. Cast your cares on the Lord, and He will sustain you. Psalm 55, verse 22. Cast your cares. She stared at those 3 words. She noticed what they did not say. They did not say, understand everything perfectly before you come. They did not say, make sure your heart is calm and neat first. They did not say, only bring the parts that feel polite and safe. They simply said, cast your cares. The word cast is not a gentle word. It is not placed carefully or set down neatly. It is closer to throw, let go of, drop what you are holding because it is too heavy for you to carry alone. Cares, concerns, the things that keep you awake, the conversations that replay in your mind, the sick feeling in your stomach when you remember that your story was shared without you. She wondered, what would it mean to cast this on God? What does that even look like? For a long moment, she did nothing. She just sat there, the room lit by a single warm lamp, the rest of the house dark. Then, almost without planning to, she whispered a prayer that did not sound like the prayers she usually prayed for other people. It was rough around the edges. It sounded more like a confession than a speech. God, I do not know how to talk to you about this. I know I am supposed to forgive. I know I am supposed to believe you are in control. I know all the right phrases. But right now, I feel hurt. I feel foolish. I feel exposed. I do not understand why you let this happen. I do not know what to do with all of this inside me. So I am just going to tell you exactly what is here. I feel betrayed by my sister. I feel unsafe at church. I do not trust people the way I used to. And if I am honest, a part of me does not know how to trust you with this either. If casting my cares on you means saying this out loud, then here it is. This is me, casting. This is me, dropping what I cannot carry. She sat in the silence that followed, half expecting to feel nothing, half afraid of what she might feel. There was no thunder, no sudden warmth sweeping over her whole body, no clear voice explaining everything. What she did sense, gently, quietly, was this: the fact that she had dared to say the real words did not make God pull away. If anything, there was a small, surprising sense that she was finally standing in the open with Him. Instead of praying from behind a wall, it was not resolution, it was not closure, but it was a beginning. Maybe you are in a similar place. You know the verses. You know you are supposed to trust. You know God is good in a big, general sense. But when you look at this specific situation, at this specific wound, there is a knot in your chest that does not respond to simple answers. You might even feel guilty for feeling that way. You think, I should be over this by now. I should be more mature than this. Other people have suffered worse. Who am I to bring this to God? But if Psalm 55 tells us anything, it is that God is not put off by raw, unfinished, unresolved emotions. He allowed the psalmist to write down words that were messy, words that moved from fear to anger, to trust, and back again. He did not wait until the writer could tie everything up with a neat bow. He met him in the middle of the process. He is willing to do the same with you. He can handle your confusion. He can handle your anger. He can handle the sentence, "God, I do not understand why you let this happen." Casting your cares on Him does not mean feeling nothing anymore. It means you are no longer carrying those feelings alone. Your story may have been mishandled by others, but it has never been misheard by God. Imagine, for a moment, that you are sitting where you are right now, but in front of you on the table is a small candle burning steadily. The room is not completely dark. There is enough light to see, but that single flame draws your attention. Small, simple, and yet every time you look at it, it reminds you, there is light here. There is something steady here, something that is not you, not your effort, not your strength. In this moment, you do not have to fix everything. You do not have to solve the relationship. You do not have to decide how you will handle every future conversation. For just a few breaths, you are invited to sit, to notice the light, and to let yourself be honest before God, like Laura was, like the writer of Psalm 55 was. If you are able, you can even pause this for a second. Close your eyes. Take a slow breath in and slowly breathe out, as if with each exhale, you are letting a little bit of the weight you carry fall into God's hands. You do not have to feel something dramatic. Simply being here, being honest, is already a kind of prayer. If you want, you can let these next words become your own prayer. You do not have to say them out loud. You can simply agree in your heart, or let them guide your own thoughts in your own way. God, I come to you not as someone who has everything together, but as someone who is tired of carrying this alone. You see the places where my trust has been broken. You know the faces and the names behind my pain. You know the conversations that happened without me in the room. You know what was said, what was assumed, what was misunderstood. You know the moments when I replay it all in my mind, asking, did I misjudge them? Was I foolish? Should I have stayed silent? You know the mix of anger, shame, disappointment, and confusion that sits in my chest. I bring all of that to you now. I do not know exactly how to cast my cares on you, but I am trying. So I bring you this specific care, the wound of being betrayed by someone I trusted. I bring you the way it has made me pull back from people. I bring you the way it has made church, family, or friendships feel less safe. I bring you the way it has even made prayer feel harder, because part of me wonders where you were when all of this happened. God, I choose to believe that you saw it. I choose to believe that you heard my words when I first spoke them in confidence. I choose to believe that you saw every private tear, every restless night, every moment of feeling exposed and misunderstood. You say in your word, cast your cares on the Lord, and He will sustain you. Right now, I am not asking you to erase my memory. I am not pretending that it did not hurt. I am asking you to sustain me inside the reality of what has happened. Hold me when the trust I used to have is not there anymore. Hold me when I feel like I cannot open up to anyone. Hold me when I am tempted to harden my heart and never let anyone close again. God, I speak the names of the people who hurt me before you now, even if it is only in my mind. You know who they are. I ask you to deal with them in your wisdom and your justice. I ask you to work in their hearts in ways I cannot see. I ask you to protect me from bitterness that eats me from the inside. I do not know how to fully forgive yet. I do not know how to trust them again, or if I even should. But I am willing to place this whole situation into your hands. Teach me, slowly, gently, what forgiveness looks like in this case. Show me where to set boundaries. Show me where to step back and where to lean in. Show me how to heal without closing myself off from every good relationship you still have for me. Most of all, I ask you to be near. When I feel like no one truly understands, be the one who does. When I feel like my story has been twisted or mishandled, remind me that you know the full truth. When I feel unseen, remind me that you have never taken your eyes off me. You were there when I first opened my heart. You were there when my words were repeated. You are here now as I sit with this ache. You will be with me in every step of healing ahead. I ask you to make something new out of this pain, not by pretending it never happened, but by transforming me in the middle of it. Give me a softer heart, not a harder one. Give me wisdom, not suspicion. Give me discernment, not constant fear. I do not see the full picture yet, but I choose, even with shaking hands, to place my story in yours. Thank you for being the one who never betrays, the one who keeps every confidence, the one who holds every tear, the one who carries every care. In Jesus' name I pray, Amen. If you prayed along with those words, in whole or in part, know this: your prayer was heard, not because the words were perfect, but because your heart was honest. You do not have to rush your healing. You do not have to force yourself to trust again overnight. You do not have to pretend you are not still hurting. You are allowed to be in process. You are allowed to come back to God again and again with the same care, the same wound, the same questions. Every time you do, you are not bothering Him. You are doing exactly what Psalm 55 invites you to do, casting your cares on the one who can hold them. If there was a moment in this story, or in the words of the psalm, or in the prayer we just shared, that touched something deep inside you, you might want to mark it somehow. You can say it quietly to yourself one more time. You can write it down after this ends. You can even pause for a moment now and simply notice what your heart is feeling without judging it or rushing it away. And if you feel comfortable, you can share a small part of your journey. You can write in the comments, "I know what betrayal from someone close feels like," or "I am learning to cast my cares on God," or anything that feels true to you. You do not have to share details. Just a simple line can be a way of saying, "I am here. This spoke to me." Sometimes, just seeing that we are not the only ones can be a quiet comfort. If someone's face came to your mind while you were listening, someone who has been hurt, someone who feels exposed or misunderstood, you might consider sharing this with them. Not as a way to fix them, but as a way to say, "You are not alone. There are words for what you feel. There is a God who sees it." And if this time of reflection spoke to your soul, if this kind of honest, gentle walk through Scripture and real life is something you need, you are welcome to stay connected. You can subscribe so that when new times of reflection like this are shared, you can keep walking this journey of healing, faith, and honesty, step by step. For now, as this time comes to a close, Let this final thought rest in your heart. The betrayal you faced does not define your worth. The way others mishandled your story does not cancel the way God holds it. The crack in your trust is not the end of your capacity to love or be loved. There is a God who saw it all. There is a God who stays. There is a God who invites you again and again to bring your cares, your questions, and your wounded heart to Him. And even if all you can manage today is a quiet, simple, "God, here I am," that is more than enough for Him to begin.